Great music right through till 2 o'clock on your favourite radio station, BBC Radio Merseyside. Great to have you with us on your Saturday morning. Now, as you know, book launches and signings might be on hold for a little bit, but it's not stopping some really good stuff from being released. Oxford-born author and social entrepreneur Natalie Reeves-Billing has released her debut children's book called My Mummy is a Monster. Well, Natalie hopes the book will help struggling families to communicate better through the coronavirus crisis and beyond. I'm thrilled to say she joins us this morning. Natalie, how are you?
Hello, Sean. That was a lovely introduction. Thank you very much.
Well, it's a pleasure. I mean, I bet you it feels a bit strange releasing your debut children's book and you can't have a big posh launch.
Oh, it is really weird. I had everything ready for it. I had a big dress and petticoats to wear.
Really?
Mary Poppins looking thing. And instead it was a party on my own.
Oh, well, it's out there. That's the important thing. So tell us about you, Natalie. You do everything from songwriting to poetry. You work as a social entrepreneur. What do you do in work?
Oh, gosh, that's a hard question. I've kind of meandered for a long time, and it took me into my 30s to realise what I was meant to do with myself. And I suppose for me, it's always been about it meaning something more than just the daily grind, really. Yeah. It's got to be more than that. It's got to be satisfying. So really, I thought that the common thread through all of it was writing. Right. You know, that's the one thing that's been consistent throughout.
Did it start at school for you then, Natalie?
Oh, yeah. I remember actually one of my first things was a carol competition with Radio Merseyside. I won a competition, but if I'm being honest now, my mum helped me write half of it.
She's fessed up. She cheated to win that competition.
She always did that, you know, she couldn't bear me losing anything, so she'd always donate a little bit here and there or critique it, so she was my first editor, really.
Now, you got two children yourself. Was it having them that made you turn your hands to children's writing in a way?
Yeah, that's where the Monsters theme came from, I think. But yeah, I mean, usually because of the songwriting, I think, and because of the poetry, the books just seem to come out rhyming. Because when I was a kid, we used to have these days where the whole day was a rhyme. So we'd have to speak in rhyme the whole day. So you can imagine it was really frustrating. You can't be angry when you're rhyming. You just can't have an argument in rhyme.
It sounds a bit odd as well, I'm sure, having a toe-to-toe with someone in rhyme.
It was, but it kept things civil, I think. And, you know, growing up in a terrace house, there were 7 of us with my nan and granddad and that. So I suppose it just helped us to be able to cope with situations like we're in now.
I suppose you think you're funny, I suppose. You better shut up or I'll punch you on the nose.
Oh, I like it. Oh my God, maybe we should talk after this.
So, My Mummy is a Monster. How did the idea come about?
I think it's because when the kids say, you never listen to me, you never want to know my side of the story, and I think that's true actually, because there's only my side of the story usually, and that's the way it is. But, you know, when you do listen to the kids, sometimes you do think, oh, I can actually see where you're coming from. And so I thought, well, how interesting would that be if there was a book that actually told the same story with the same characters, the same situations, but completely different viewpoints as to who's to blame for the scenario.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah. So is this the first in a collection, this book, then?
It is. I've got My Daddy's a Monster, My Teacher's a Monster, My Dog is a Monster, the whole works. Wow. So, yeah, I've got up my sleeve.
Now, this is going to help families to communicate better during coronavirus. Do you think this crisis has brought out a bit of a monster in us all, in a way?
I think so. I think that first month or two where we all adjusted to a different way of life, and you have to strip those layers from yourself, don't you? All those things that you thought mattered. And as the weeks go by, they matter less and less and less until you find who you really are. And I think being under each other's feet, that's the hardest thing, because you know yourself, if you haven't got just a little 10 minutes here to just be alone with your thoughts, you do start to show a different side to yourself. You can't be that person 24/7. And so I guess this is about acknowledging that, owning that, and being honest with your kids about, well, this is why I feel that way and this is why you feel this way. And then if you have a laugh about it, usually it can dissolve a situation without it turning into something quite horrendous, especially as homeschooling thing. I mean, it's enough to push anybody's buttons, isn't it?
So are you homeschooling as well?
Yeah. I've got to say, you'd think that being a children's author, it would be easier for someone like me, but it's just it's endless, isn't it? And you're always saying, "Am I doing the right thing? Am I utilising my time properly?" And I've seen a lot of things recently where people are saying, just let yourself off the hook. This is a totally unnatural situation for us all. We're all in it together. So I guess as time goes on and you adjust to the new norm, you just sort of accept and you acknowledge that things are different, don't you? Let yourself off the hook.
Yeah, it's a good point because it's not easy. I mean, you've got to show a lot of creativity, a lot of patience. It's make sure there's no repetition. There's so much more to it than you think, isn't it?
There is, and there's a different dynamic between kids and their parents and kids and their teachers. There's lines that they never cross at school, whereas, they're used to putting it on and putting a certain face on that gets them a chocolate or whatever. It's really hard to then become someone else, and I think that it's hard for the kids adjusting anyway without their parents turning into these tyrannical teachers. And I just think that the way we do it just needs to be, something that they can accept and palate. It's already hard enough for everyone, isn't it?
It is. And I believe you're going to do some live read-alongs as well with question and answer sessions online, aren't you?
I am. I'm at the Wellfest Lockdown Festival. Obviously, everything's going virtual now, so I'm doing some stuff with Eventbrite there, doing some readings with some local authors. And I've actually just started a book, and I'm going to launch it in 3 weeks, about coronavirus, but through the eyes of the coronavirus bug. So it takes the fear and anxiety out of it for children.
I see.
It kind of gives us all the information that they need, but without the fear. And so I'll be looking at releasing that in 3 weeks as well.
Wow, that's a good idea. Have you had support from local organisations? Because it's a big deal writing a book, and then you've got to go through all the business side of it. There's a lot more to this, isn't it?
Yeah, I did. I'm lucky really because, as you can probably guess, I'm a big talker. So I go around talking to everybody and meeting everybody and making friends and stuff. And so, I've got a really close-knit group around me. And one of the organisations that's been fundamental in this is the Women's Organisation.
Yeah.
And also the School of Social Entrepreneurs, which I'm on a programme with doing my social enterprise. And there's lots of companies that have been really great to me. Liverpool Business News. So, we've all come together, I think. I think when somebody's going through this, we all pool around, don't we, and make it easier for each other.
We certainly do. So how can we get hold of My Mum Is a Monster? It's out now, isn't it? Where can we get it?
It is. Okay, so you can get the paperback version from Amazon, and then you can also get an ebook version from Amazon as well. But there's also a beautiful version, a hardback version that just looks perfect, and it actually flips. So one story you read the child's point of view, and then it asks you to close the book and flip it. So you're literally and figuratively turning the book on its head. And so it's got like 2 front covers. I'm dead excited about it, as you can hear. It's just lovely. And that one you can get from the website, which is lollipoplodge.com.
Lollipoplodge.com.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Hey, listen, the best of luck with it, Natalie, and thanks for telling us about it.
Oh, thanks, Sean. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers. Now, have a nice weekend.